is listen, a lot of the media is based right here in New York City, and there is obviously a New York City bias to this. The Knicks, when was the NBA at its best? Some people would say the 80s. Knicks weren't any good in the 80s. When was the NBA at its next best? You want to say the Jordan era? The Knicks had a nice moment in the Jordan era. Their best moment, of course, was when Jordan was retired and they made the NBA Finals. The other peak of the NBA is this last decade, the LeBron and Warriors era. The Knicks haven't mattered. The league does not need the New York Knicks. The league needs stars. Where have been the most interesting teams over the last decade? Oakland, Cleveland, Oklahoma City. It is no longer about, man, you can only see the team in your area. You can only see one NBA game a week. And so Zion Williamson going to an organization that now has real leadership in David Griffin that will be able to add another young piece via the Anthony Davis trade, league's going to be fine. And I feel like the other thing that happened here was people just don't understand probabilities. The Knicks got lucky last night. They had a 73% chance of not getting a top 2 pick, and they had a 60% chance of not getting a top 3 pick. So they defied the odds by even getting the 3rd pick. It was overwhelmingly unlikely they were going to get Zion. The league does not need Zion in New York City. Now, Zion might be bummed because it seemed like he wanted to be in New York City, and in that regard, I feel badly for the kid. I think New Orleans could be a super fun place to live. Great food, great people, but I don't think the league missed out on much by not having Zion on a team that's been bad for decades.
Yeah, I disagree with you, Nick. I agree with Jenna as far as New York and the probability. It has nothing to do with, okay, who's been good. You mentioned the cities. I'll give you the cities. LeBron, he went to Cleveland. He was happy. He wanted to go there. Steph, man, he could have gone anywhere. He was not a surefire knockdown talent. He was happy that they signed him and put the confidence, because it was on the board that they weren't going to do that. Russ, he's a weird guy. He loves OKC. Durant left OKC, but are they going to win? So the thing about it that's different is in these smaller markets, all these guys wanted to be there. It was fairly evident last night Zion didn't want to be there. Now, also, I know this in talking to Scott Perry. If he would have gone to the Knicks, they would have kept him. They wouldn't have traded him. So he would have been able to play for the team. Zion doesn't know where he could be now. Like with all the trades and everything, like he doesn't know that. The market of playing in New York City, it is very, very different. With his marketability, with his shoe deal, with his smile, with his charisma, with his humbleness, he was a perfect fit to be a star in New York, because New York, under Scott Perry, they have just as good a chance to be good with KD coming and potentially Kyrie coming that New Orleans does with David Griffin and those picks.
Knicks have a better chance. And I just want to, you said one thing that I don't think you meant. You said he doesn't know where he's going to be. Zion knows he's going to be in New Orleans. He doesn't know who he's going to be playing with.
Yes,
that's what you were trying to say. He knows definitively he's going to be a New Orleans Pelican.
So the marketability, yes, far greater in New York than it would probably be in New Orleans. But what about his basketball? Do you think his basketball changes, his game changes? How much pressure is on him to perform right now? It depends on where he is.
See, so now this is another place that I know based on yesterday, you and I disagree, but I am happy that Zion is Zion is already going to have an attention on him we haven't seen on a rookie since LeBron. We now know with 15 years of exposure to LeBron, the decisions he's made on and off the court, he is a not just transcendent talent, but he had almost transcendent instant maturity on how to empower his business partners, his friends turned business partners, how to deal with not having any off-the-court scandals ever whatsoever, all those things. Zion, we don't know as a young kid from South Carolina how he would deal with being in the crucible of not only New York City, but a team with Kevin Durant and a team with instant championship aspirations. The idea that we would have...
Nick, you tell me this all the time. Chris, it's a difference of philosophy. I have been around too many athletes, and I've been around too many elite athletes to see a young colt and what they do with that, their responsibility. I believe the better players he's around initially, the better habits he will start early in his career compared to being the go-to guy with an organization where you can make a lot of mistakes. I'm sure LeBron James, if he could do it all over again, man, he would love to have a good veteran player not these average guys that he was playing with. If you have a good to great veteran player who already has a system, and also that great player is going to be a buffer for the media, because you're not going to be the voice of the franchise. They will have a couple layers between you and the media. That's why I believe that the New York situation, because I know they're getting a superstar.
I totally agree. Just quickly here, Luka and Trey both had tremendous rookie years, and they didn't get the opportunity to go to the playoffs and for us to question how clutch they are. Oh, when are they? Because they weren't supposed to be there. They were the first. The guys on their team, and their teams are building around them. I think for young players, it can be a positive to instantly not walk into playoff expectations. And
I disagree with you.
I know.
I mean, Ben Simmons and Jason Tatum right now, regardless of what you see, and my man in Utah, they are so much better than all the other players, because you know what? They've been grinded in the playoffs. They realize, you know something? That 82-game season and the playoff season, man, there's grown men playing in the playoffs. They hand check you. They bump you. The ref's not going to give you a bunch of fouls. So regardless of what you ever say, I know that experience and that failure, regular season success, postseason failure, has made them into better basketball players than not participating in the postseason where all the pressure is.
All right, let's turn the conversation to the Eastern Conference Finals now. Toronto heading to Milwaukee to face the Bucks in Game 1 tonight. Superstar versus superstar. Kawhi Leonard versus Giannis Antetokounmpo. Who can and will carry their respective teams, both coming off dominant postseason runs so far. Nick, I'll start with you. Who's got the edge in this series, the Raptors or the Bucks?
The Bucks. The Bucks are going to have the edge in every series they play, and that includes the one in the finals against the Warriors. The Bucks are the best team in basketball. I'll say this until everyone starts believing it. The Bucks they played them 4 times in the regular season. They went 3-1 there. They dominated the first round. They then dominated the second round. And as good as Kawhi has been playing, I do not believe Kawhi is quite as good as Giannis, even though he's very close. But the complementary pieces at this point they're not playing as close as you would have thought in Toronto, as well as they did in the regular season. Milwaukee has the ability to beat you so many different ways. They have the #1 defense in basketball. They have #3 offense in basketball. And all of a sudden, they are with Brogdon back, they are the healthiest team remaining in the NBA playoffs. So they also have home court advantage, and they are more rested. So to me, I think Toronto has been an excellent team. Toronto has had an excellent season. But Toronto is now about to run into a far stiffer competition than they had in the second round in dealing with Milwaukee versus dealing with Philly. So to me, I think Milwaukee is the heavy favorite, and I would be more surprised with the Raptors winning the series than the Bucks winning it in 4 or 5 games.
I think the Bucks are a better team. So who has the advantage? I believe the better team. Also, the better team happens to have home court advantage. We saw in the last couple years where Cleveland, they weren't concerned about the home court advantage, because at that time we could say, you know something, they have the best player, and we thought they had a better team, even though their regular season hadn't gone the way they wanted to go. So in this, though, you have to look at Milwaukee not only from the beginning of the season, the All-Star break, after the All-Star break, they have been consistent, either 1 or 2 of the best teams playing basketball. How they play, their style has transferred from the regular season to the postseason. And we have seen Toronto, Kyle Lowry, who's going to show up? Right. Who's going to be their second scorer? Siakam. Is he ready to be big time 7 games in a row? I don't think so. As a young player, he's going to be a little inconsistent. So I believe that Milwaukee is a better team. But watch out. You lose home court advantage. Right. They go back to Canada tied up 1-1. And also, let's not forget, last series they were in with Boston. Where did they slip up? In game #1. Young team, hadn't seen this stage. So can Toronto steal one of those first 2 games, particularly the game #1 tonight?
So if Giannis and Kawhi cancel each other out, theoretically, is this going to come down to whose supporting cast shows up? Toronto's got a great supporting cast. They just only played basically 1 game so far this postseason where they had to really help out. They gave Kawhi a chance to really help him out.
Yeah, I think Toronto's going to struggle in this regard. Can you have Kawhi cancel out Giannis in as much as this? Are you going to ask Kawhi to guard Giannis? are you going to ask Kawhi who
No,
has
I don't think so.
Right, because he has been, your offense has revolved around Kawhi Leonard, right? So
So that would tax him too much?
To me, it'd be too taxing. I think they will try
I don't think it's the best matchup for him.
Pascal Siakam guarding
Yeah, they
him as
have
much
too
as
many
possible.
guys who have length. Serge Ibaka, those guys should be guarding Giannis. Just because you have the two best players don't mean you go out of your way to try to put Kawhi. Kawhi gonna lock down whoever he has.
Correct.
Whoever he's guarding gonna have their hands full. And if he can stop Middleton or one of the other scorers from getting 20 points, that helps them try to win.
But I also think it's going to be very tough in this series for Toronto to play. What big are they going to play? Because much like Chris Mannix, and he was wrong about a lot of the Celtics-Bucks series, but he was right about one thing. Tough series for Brook Lopez because of the Celtics matchup there. Now it's going to be a tough series for Marc Gasol because Brook Lopez is going to try to spend time away from the basket, ask Gasol to move his feet in a way I'm not sure how comfortable he is.
I don't think he's going to try to get past him, though. So I think it plays to Gasol because Gasol is a very good defender. And because Lopez is not going to pick and roll. It makes him easier to guard for a big guy.
It's going to be a pick and pop. My concern is this. You're right. I don't think it's about Lopez getting past Gasol. I think it's about Lopez drawing Gasol away from the basket. And then who is there to meet Giannis at the rim? Who is there to deal with what the Bucks have done so well this year, which is have Giannis drive, and if you collapse down on him, he hits guys for open shots. The Bucks have they're not only 8-1 this postseason. 7 of those victories are by double digits. They have been dominating teams. I think that they are going to come out tonight and not like Game 1 against Boston, where they were clearly not ready for playoff intensity, ready and announce themselves as clearly the favorites in the East and maybe the favorites in the whole thing. At least they are in my eyes. But tonight's game is important. You slip up against, like you said, you slip up in Game 1, you give back home court advantage.
I think it's going to be a little more difficult tonight, but you make it sound awful easy.
Well, I've said both these first 2 series for the Bucks were going to be awful easy.
Right.
I don't know a lot of people that thought the Celtics series was going to be. It ended up being.
Well, everyone's out there not like a fool like Kendrick Perkins.